if you want to win week 13 of the fantasy football season, you should know what type of production you are expecting out of all the guys in your starting roster. We're going to be analyzing all those guys here today, breaking down the top 24 running backs and wide receivers, helping you figure out these important sit-start decisions. If they're not in the top 24, they are obviously not worthy of being in, your RB1, RB2 slot or wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 slot. However, if you are in a pinch at the flex, please drop those questions down below as we are going to be answering everything as far as that goes. But again, everything's going to be broken down nice and simply for you guys. So let's stop the yapping and get ahead to our wide receiver 1 for the week. At wide receiver 1 on the week, we have Tyreek Hill going up against the Commanders. We all know how good Tyreek Hill's been. He's on the explosive Dolphins offense, and this game has the sneaky potential to be a shootout. The Commanders love to throw the ball, and Sam Howell is actually leading the NFL in passing yards, which is crazy to say, but he's getting that volume, and he is throwing that ball at a very high clip. Love the matchup for Tyreek. We all know how dominant he's been. Then we're dropping down to tier 2. This game already happened, but these rankings are live beforehand on Faceoff Sports Network. Head over there, check them out. I post these rankings weekly. But again, now that the game already happened, we're just going to be recapping it. So, pat on the back, good ranking by me. Lamb went off and scored 32.6 fantasy points, just dominant in a game that the Cowboys looked amazing in. It was a very high-scoring game, and the Cowboys ended up on top. And, Lamb was just a big, big beneficiary of how good Dak has looked. I know a lot of people hate on the Cowboys, and I'm not a Giants fan. I know I have the blue shirt on. I have the Giants hat. I'm a big NFL fan, so I like collecting a lot of different jerseys. I have a big jersey collection, and I kind of have a lot of different hats. So that's what I'm wearing on here. The Bears are my number 1 team, but I actually low-key hate them, especially for fantasy purposes, because of how depressed they make me. Anyway, let's go on to wide receiver 3. A.J. Brown going up against the 49ers. I'm really close to putting some of these guys above A.J. Brown, but he's looked so good recently, and this Eagles offense has been amazing. Should be a very high-scoring game. I believe the 49ers are now favored by 3 points, which actually helps Brown even more. If the Eagles are trailing a little bit, they're going to be forced to, throw the ball when they're traditionally a very, very run-heavy team. That said, hasn't stopped A.J. Brown before. The talent's there. I really like the matchup and the high-scoring outcome of the game. Give me A.J. Brown 3. At number 4, we have Keenan Allen against the New England Patriots. Now, Allen has been so good this year. Honestly, very underrated in the offseason because of, his age. We thought he was going up against Mike Williams. Quentin Johnson would be emerging. But no, Mike Williams is injured. Quentin Johnson is out, and he still has Justin Herbert. Honestly, could be also one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the league throwing him the ball. Then we have Amon-Ra St. Brown going up against the Saints. Not too much to take away from this matchup. Just Amon-Ra has been a beast. Has to be a top 5 fantasy wide receiver at this point, especially with all these bye weeks. Then we'll drop down to tier 3 where we have Mike Evans, 150 yards away from hitting yet another 1,000-yard receiving season. And the Panthers aren't a great defense. They're actually a horrible team in general. I think Evans should be able to cook against this Panthers secondary. Then we have Tank Dell against the Denver Broncos. Now, I really, really never liked Tank Dell. I know some people are massive Tank Dell fans. His small frame and height just scared me away, and for a valid reason. If I had to go and make this pick again, I would. There's nothing about Dell's profile that said that he would be a phenomenal NFL wide receiver, but sometimes we've seen it. The NFL is changing. Talent wins out, and we got to change our ways to some extent once we see how good Dell has been. Sharp has been unbelievable. Going up against the Broncos, an improved secondary, an improved team, but I think Dell should be able to feast and continue this hot streak. Then we got Michael Pittman against the Tennessee Titans. Should be a close game. The Colts aren't great. The Titans aren't great. But Pittman is the wide receiver 1 that offense, drawing a ton of target volume. He's very talented. And I think after being overrated last year, he is, not being talked about quite enough. Then we got Brandon Ayuk against the Eagles. I love this matchup. If you look on PFF's cornerback wide receiver matchup, he actually has the best matchup score against this Eagles secondary. Now, the Eagles are a great defense, don't get me wrong, but Ayuk has just been phenomenal this year, going up against a great matchup in the secondary at least. 49ers should be forced to throw the ball more in a higher volume passing game when there's going to be a ton of points scored. Really like Ayuk. Honestly, could have him higher than any one of these guys. That's why he's in that tier. Then we're going over to Jalen Waddle. I want to have all these guys in a similar range because Waddle is that wide receiver 2 to Tyreek Hill, who is incredibly talented, really started to pick it up recently after a very slow start to the year. Then we're going to Ja'Marr Chase against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Interesting to have Chase here. I don't really know what to do with him. Jake Browning is not the answer. Definitely has hindered Chase's performance quite a bit. Not Joe Burrow. But I feel like I can't leave him outside of the wide receiver 1 territory based on how good Chase is. Then we're going to Devonta Smith against the 49ers. Again, a wide receiver 2, but high-scoring game. Give me these guys in these high-scoring games. Devonta Smith has been great. Although A.J. Brown could, have one of those weeks where he takes away all the volume from Devonta Smith and value, Smith could do the same thing back to Brown, as we've seen at times in each of their career. Then we're going to Puka Nacua. Hasn't had the hot streak that he had to start the year. Matthew Stafford is back, and Nakua's really only struggled when Stafford has missed time. So I'm comfortable starting him as a high-end wide receiver 2 to even a low-end wide receiver 1. Then we're going to tier 4. We got Deebo Samuel again. He has the 5th best cornerback wide receiver matchup according to PFF, and I really like him a lot. He had a big week last week, and I think that should continue. Now, I don't like his rest of season value quite as much, but I think he's going to continue to ride this wave in what should be a pretty good matchup for him. Then we got Nico Collins. Again, I never really loved Nico Collins as a talent, but he's proven me wrong. He hasn't been quite as consistent recently as of Dell, but still, Stroud's been great. I honestly have to say Stroud is an elite quarterback, so we're banking on the fact that Collins is attached to an elite quarterback. Now, Cooper Kupp has struggled. Seems like these injuries are kind of catching up to him, and it still feels ridiculous to have him this low, but I can't have him any lower than this. Based on what type of volume he gets in this offense on a week-to-week basis for the most part, and what type of talent he has, I'm not starting him any lower than a wide receiver 2, even though he's been very disappointing. Although, that said, I don't think I can have him as a wide receiver 1 until we see him have that bounce-back week. Then we got Garrett Wilson against the Falcons. I mean, Wilson has been producing with terrible quarterbacks left and right. Again, obviously, this takes away his week-to-week upside and ability, but he's still getting a ton of target volume in this offense. Love Garrett Wilson still. Then we got Christian Kirk against Cincinnati Bengals. Calvin Ridley against the Bengals as well, 18-19. I'm starting Kirk over Ridley. I think Ridley is honestly a fluke. He seems he's just not that good. Christian Kirk is the one getting that consistent target share. Ridley has almost been bailed out by a touchdown in most weeks, and it's just a few good weeks in a row. I'm still starting him higher than I would have, but I think Kirk is that, the true wide receiver 1 for fantasy purposes based on his volume. Then we got DK Metcalf at 20, and I know DK Metcalf went off. He had 37.4 points, so, pat myself for that CD ranking. I look like a clown for this DK ranking. Though I will say I have seen him a lot lower than this before this game, so please don't destroy me too hard. I mean, do we really need to talk about it? 73-yard from the first drive of the game kind of set the tone. He cooked the Cowboys. But then we got Courtland Sutton at tier 5. He's actually been very good this year. I never was on the Courtland Sutton hype train, but I always thought Jerry Jeudy was better because as a route runner, he is. But Sutton has just proven that he is that guy that can go up and get the ball and proven to be very effective. Then we got Christian Watson against the Chiefs. Christian Watson is my guy. I love Christian Watson. And after seeing him go out there and crush him last week, I knew I was going to be higher than consensus on him this week, especially that they're going against the Kansas City Chiefs, where this is honestly a great matchup for Watson. The Packers are going to be trailing a ton, which helps out Watson. They're going to throw the ball more. And he's just a better player than Jayden Reed. He had an elite rookie season. He's in the company of, some of the top 7 wide receivers in yards per route run. The talent is there. We got to have Watson at 22. Then we're going to Terry McLaurin against the Miami Dolphins at 23. Adam Thielen at 24. Terry hasn't been great this year. I'll give him that. But pretty good matchup as they should be trailing against the Dolphins. Forcing them to throw the ball. Thielen has been god-awful recently, but I trust the volume there for the most part. I mean, I know he hasn't been there recently, but who else are you really putting at that low-end wide receiver 2 spot this week? I feel like it has to be Thielen based on the upside that he's given you all season long. So let's have it over the running back position, and we're going to be starting off with another guy in a tier of his own, Christian McCaffrey going up against the Eagles. I mean, there's not really much to say. CMC is supposed to be that guy. He has been that guy coming in the year, and he's just been crushing it. He deserves to be in tier of his own. Just absolutely been dominating the fantasy football scene. Then we're jumping now to a whole nother tier, tier 2, Travis Etienne against the Cincinnati Bengals. Etienne hasn't been, at his peak performance recently. That said, he's still a great pass catcher. Still, the Jaguars have been very good. We're putting Etienne here. Then we got Kamara against the Detroit Lions. Just based on the target share he gets in this offense, you have to have Kamara up there. Then we're going Kyren Williams at 4. And it seems ridiculous to put him above Eckler, but Eckler hasn't been the same player he once was. He's been very good, don't get me wrong, but Kyren Williams is unbelievable. He is a great running back, and he gets that pass-catching work. He's just been phenomenal. I mean, he has been able to produce when he gets the opportunity, and there's really no reason to have him lower than RB5. I could see Eckler ahead of him, but I think he has to be a top 5 back this week. Then we got Eckler against the Patriots. The Chargers should, honestly, pretty easily be able to beat the Patriots, but, they haven't been great either, so you never know. Helping out Austin Eckler, but the one thing is that Eckler wins as a pass catcher, so honestly, these, game scripts that are favoring the Chargers don't help him quite as much as it would other backs. Then we got Bijan Robinson against the Jets, Rachaad White against the Panthers, and Jahmyr Gibbs against the Saints. These guys are all players that, Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs, elite talents, question about their usage, but solid matchups. Bijan has the better one against the Jets, as the Jets are just not good this year. Their defense is amazing, but eventually the Falcons will get out, be able to run the ball a ton. Rachaad White going up against the Panthers. We've seen Rachaad White crush terrible defenses like the Bears. Early on in the year, the Panthers just suck. Should be a great game for White. Then we got Jahmyr Gibbs at 8. Saints aren't the best defense in the world, but again, they're not a horrible team either. So I think we got to have him at 8 with a question about what David Montgomery is going to do. Then we have Tony Pollard at 9, and I don't know if this was too high or too low. He had 17 points, so maybe a little bit too low, but still, I think it was a fair ranking heading into the week. Then we have Zach Moss at 10, and Zach Moss, I know it seems aggressive, but he has honestly been a elite running back when you don't have Jonathan Taylor. So let's go back to the beginning of the year. I mean, he's putting up 20, 22, week 5, 33, 17. He has been phenomenal when thrust into that bell cow role. So it's hard to have him any lower than this. They're going Pacheco. Chiefs should beat down on the Packers. Swift against the 49ers. He's a little concerning because he hasn't been getting quite as much pass catching work. But still, we're going Swift here based on the, very few number of options that I like in this tier. Ramondre Stevenson, hot as of late, been pretty efficient with his touches. We just have to hope that he continues getting that large workload that he has been. And I think he can crush. However, it's the Patriots. Their offense sucks, which inherently drops him down a little bit. Then we're going Raheem Mostert against the Commanders. We'll see how much Devin Etienne plays this week. I'm expecting him to play. I think Mostert's still going to be the guy. I think Etienne's still going to be a little limited. But with how dominant this Dolphins offense has been this year, should beat down the Commanders. I like Mostert here. Then we're going Montgomery against the Saints. I think he's going to have a role. Great offense. We'll see what type of workload he gets in the goal line. I assume it should be his, even though Gibbs has had a few goal line touchdowns this year. Then we're going Breece Hall against the Falcons. Very talented player, horrible offense. Got to chalk it up there to Breece Hall. Then we'll head over to Devin Etienne in that tier. And I feel like we can't leave him outside the top 24 because he's probably going to play. It seemed very cautionary that, Mike McDaniel didn't play him last week. But we've seen that even if he doesn't get a ton of touches, he was averaging 33 points per game in those 3 games where he had over 1 carry. I mean, that's unbelievable. Even if he falls down to, half of that, that's 16 points a game. I'm not expecting Etienne to go nuts this week and, be the guy that he once was early in the year. But I think the talent upside is there that when you see this last list of names in tier 6, you're going to be, oh, yeah, I definitely want Etienne over some of these guys. But yeah, then in tier 6, all these guys are very comparable to me, so I'll kind of just rattle them off. Javonte against the Cardinals, I think the talent's there. They've been using Perine a little bit, but should be a great game script as the Cardinals suck. We got James Conner, very, very good bell cow. Has been injured for a lot of the year, but he hasn't needed Kyler Murray to produce in the past, averaging 20 points per game last season. It's going to be interesting to see what he does with Kyler Murray and this improved, Cardinals offense. Then we got Zach Charbonnet. Charbonnet is a guy that I actually really liked heading into the season, and he had 17 points this week, but he didn't look all that great. Kind of saved by that. I mean, I don't want to say saved, but at some point he did have that one-yard touchdown, which was called back because of, I believe, there was a call in the end zone. I don't know if that was the JSN call or not, but yeah, Charbonnet, good game. If you started him, congrats. You should have as a low RB2, but I'll produce that. But I don't really love his, I don't love him for the rest of the season. Let's just say that. Then we got Brian Robinson. Although he is not a phenomenal pass catcher, he's been pretty good. Just brewed a matchup against the Dolphins where they're probably going to rely on Antonio Gibson a little more. Then we got Joe Mixon against the Jags. His value is kind of depleted with no Joe Burrow because I never thought Joe Mixon was a great talent. Loved the offense more than I like Mixon, but now the offense isn't good. But still, these guys are getting disgusting. Then we got Devin Singletary, who had 6 targets last week. He's getting that running back one role now as, Dameon Pierce lost out on it. I mean, I don't know what happened to Dameon Pierce, but he is cooked now. So Singletary's still splitting the backfield, which is why he's this low. But he's getting involved as a pass catcher, which makes me want to start him as an RB2 because of that upside. Texans look very good. Shaw's been amazing. But I really hope this helped you guys out. If you disagree with where I've ranked some of your players, let me know down below and we can debate. If you need any help setting in a lineup, just let me know down below. I'll always be answering every single question. This is for you guys. I love doing it, and I love hearing these comments. So again, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want some more content from me, we're going to be pumping out the waiver wire videos every single Tuesday and these ranking videos every single Friday. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.